Okay, so you've been actually directed by the playwright's son in this. Has that created any extra pressure for you, would you say?
No, it's made it more exciting.
The other way round.
Okay.
No, Sam's been very inspirational, and he's a very, very good director. He's very talented, and he's...
I don't know why I'm laughing. He is very good.
I'm only saying that because I want to work with him again. No, he's been terrific, and he's pushed very hard to get this show to get some extra quality that you might normally not see in a normal touring production like this. We have a fantastic set. There's a lot of detail in it. There's a lot of detail in the work we've done. We had a longer rehearsal period, so I think we've brought these characters to life, bring a lot of other stuff on stage with us. We did a lot of research about this period in 1939, the lead up to the opening of the Second World War. There's some Nazi undertones into it, in it as well. So we all did different types of research that we bring on with us. Also, there's original music's been written by a guy who writes for films, and it's fantastic music, and it gives a nice filmic feel to a lot of the play. A lot of the atmosphere is brought about by the music, and we have obviously nice lighting and all sorts of other effects, and a lot of thought's been gone into things like little fighting bits, shooting bits that we use. We use guns and knives in the show at different points, and a lot of thought's been put into how we do that, because people are so used to watching things on television that have little bits of violence in them, and they're very real. On stage, these can be a bit amusing sometimes if they're not done properly. Yeah. And I think we do have 2 or 3 quite shocking moments in the play which have been thought about and seem to work very well for the audience and keep the suspense in the play all the way through. It creates a great atmosphere right from the start, a little bit of a slow burn, and then there's a big revelation early on, and you're on a bit of a roller coaster for the end of it. And most of the audiences are very, very quiet, sit on the edge of their seat. They don't want to miss anything. It's a very clever play with lots of twists and turns. You really don't know what's going to happen, which is why a lot of us wanted to do it, because when you read it, you kind of think, all the way through, and you really don't know until the very end exactly what is going on.
Right at the end.
Also, as Gary said, it's set in Provence. Just before the outbreak of the Second World War, so that gives you a tremendous feeling around this play. Just that alone is a lot, without all the revelations that happen continually and the twists and turns that happen.
Yeah, you said you did quite a bit of research beforehand. Did you actually learn anything that you didn't know before?
Yeah,
Lots.
We've actually made an education pack from what we learned, but the education pack is sort of a spoiler. So I won't tell you what's in it. I can tell you what I looked up. I looked up women in France, and some of the laws they had back then were just mad. I mean, so 1939, in April 1939, that was the last public guillotining. So that's the sort of world that we're in. And also, I think what's so interesting about the time, what we sort of, what sort of stuck with us was the tension, the political tensions at the time. And that's why, I mean, for everyone, this is a fascinating time in history. That's sort of the brink of the war, the rise of the Nazis and everything like that. So, yeah. I can't tell you anything
There are a lot of
else.
authentic broadcasts in the play that you hear via the radio, from Germany and from England.
Hitler,
from that time.
You
hear Hitler, you hear Chamberlain. So it really brings that moment in history alive.
So it would be good for kids then as well.
Yeah.
Not too young.
Not too young. Well, I think it says 11 plus.
Secondary school.
Secondary school. Yeah. What would you say are your biggest challenges in this play?
Working with Brian Capron. I only say that because if I didn't, somebody would have said me.
No.
There's quite a lot of... Brian has written a fairly filmic piece, I suppose. There are long periods where there's just action and no dialogue, and that's... Don't you really see that in a thriller very often? So that's like trying to keep the mental kind of the audience interested in. I mean, it's exciting action. It's not.
The biggest, I mean, the play as well is quite heightened, and we've come at it in a way we wanted to make it real, didn't we? And we've worked very hard. I mean, that was kind of a challenge that we set ourselves, really, wasn't it? I suppose with Sam as well, was that we wanted to make it as real as these people believable. These people, give a real sense of how they think, how they feel, how they live, and what's going on, why they do things. That's been one of the challenges, really. And that's an ongoing challenge in a way.
Corrinne, your character doesn't actually come on till quite late in Act 2.
That's right, yeah.
So how are you feeling backstage waiting to...
It's very odd, because it's almost like I'm in a different place with everybody else, because I've already done most of the hard work by the time I'm on there. And also, because I tend to be quite nervous anyway. They're all over their nerves by the time, it's like they're all full of stories about how great the audience are or how not great the audience are and, what went wrong. And so, I'm quite isolated, I feel. But actually that's probably quite good for my character because she is sort of set apart a little bit anyway. And it's a whole new challenge for me to I've not done a part like that where I've done pretty much every play I've done, and I've come on sort of right at the beginning and been on all the way through. So that's quite a challenge for me, and it's a good thing to learn, I suppose, just how to occupy myself. And at the moment, I'm just sitting there going, oh, I'm bored, I'll put some more makeup on. So by the time I come on, it's inches thick. But yeah, it's interesting.
And how are you all coping with the touring side of things? Because you've been on the road now since March, is it?
I'll say we're having a great time.
Lara says we're having a great time.
Says,
so,
and we do whatever Lara says.
Yes, we do. It started off quite gently. We opened in Bracknell, but then we had like a week off, and then we had a couple of dates, and then we had a week off. And so it's not been crazy. However, it's really picked up these last couple of months. This month and next month, we're all over the shop, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing a show tonight, and tomorrow night we'll be doing a show in Hereford.
Right. Do you find that audiences react differently from different areas? Or are you getting pretty much the same?
I think it's not so much the audiences, but what we find is the play sits differently in different theatres.
Right.
So a couple of weeks ago we were in Blackpool in the Grand, which is a very, very big theatre. So there's a different way of approaching the actual physically playing, vocally and physically playing that stage.
Yeah.
And then last week we were in Basildon, and that's a lot smaller, a lot more intimate, a little bit like here. So you're able to bring the performance down a little bit and tone it down. So that's interesting. I wouldn't so much. We can pretty much, now we know the play well, we pretty much know how it's going to sit with an audience. Although you do get the odd ones where they laugh a little bit more or they're a lot quieter. So tempering your performance to that or listening to them is interesting. But we've found, certainly this play, because it is so atmospheric and there are periods of when it's very quiet and there's music sort of, creating the atmosphere, as Brian said, that is interesting in a different space, in a big house or a small house. That's been very interesting to discover.
Yeah, you must be able to sense the audiences as well, and how
That's
much
theatre, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, every show is different. It is a two-way thing. Because you're on stage and you listen, not listen to the audience, but you listen to what you feel is coming back.
Yeah.
Also, it's the age. We had a lot of, well, not a lot. We had one audience with a lot of sort of. I suppose I should tread carefully here, but there's sort of
students.
Students. We don't get many students in. And sort of teenagers and 20-somethings in, and we had quite a few in, didn't we? A couple of guys, and that was a different audience altogether. And they infected the other guys that were the older ones. That were saying, and it was kind of
in a good way.
But the thing to say is that despite the thriller nature of the play being very atmospheric, one of the reviews said it's flecked with humour all the way through, which is very well. There is a lot of humour all the way through as well, which is nice because when you get that contrast, then when something exciting happens, you've got the balance.
Yeah, you need that with the tension to balance it out.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so when are you coming to Southend?
We're coming to Southend on the 24th and the 25th of July.
Did you look at the 23rd?
We really look forward to seeing you.
We can't wait to
down.
Southend audiences love a murder mystery, so it's going to be a hit.
Oh,
And
come and see us.
you're only on for 2 nights.
2 nights,
aren't you?
yeah.
So they need to get their tickets quickly.
Absolutely.
Thanks for talking to Southend
Thank you.
Theatre Scene
Pleasure.
today.
Thank you.
Pleasure,
Thanks.
thank you.